Hey everyone, it's Matt here with Nightrun Studio and welcome back to the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Unity. In this series, we're taking 10 lessons at 10 minutes or less each, and we're going to make a simple platformer together. In our last video, we got the Cinemachine camera hooked up so that we can now traverse some distance in this game. That said, we don't actually have anything to do yet. So in this video, we're going to add some coins, make them collectible, and get them displaying on the map. This one's going to be a little longer, but we're going to do what we can to get it done in under 10 minutes. Alright then, let's get started. So first thing we're going to want to do is actually go to our coin or whatever other collectible you're doing sprite. Let's set it to 16 pixels per unit, point no filter. Make sure we're set to 32-bit. We can then apply those changes and open up the sprite editor. At this point, I'm just going to set mine to grid by cell size, slice it up at 16 by 16, hit slice, apply, and then close up the editor. At this point, we can just grab our first coin and drag it on up into the hierarchy, and now we've got a coin sprite. I'm just going to give this sprite a circle collider so we actually have a way to interact with it. And then let's head down to our scripts where we can right-click, create a new mono behavior script, and let's call this one coin. Now once we get inside here, we can actually get rid of the start and update methods as we won't need either one. And here I'm going to introduce you to one of the most useful methods we have in Unity. This is the public void method called onTriggerEnter2D, and it's a bit of a beast as it does have some parameters here. It's going to take in a collider2D, which we'll just name as collision. Essentially what this does is anytime anything enters its trigger, we can now tell it to destroy the game object that this script is sitting on. Now if we head back into Unity, I'll kind of show you how that works. First, let's rename the coin as coin. We're going to set it as a trigger, that way our onTriggerEnter will work. Finally, let's add the coin script on here. So now when the player touches the coin gets destroyed. Now making the coins disappear is fun and everything, but we need a way to actually track them. So for this, we're going to create another mono behavior script, and we'll call this one Coin Manager. Now before we actually start writing that, let's head over to the hierarchy and create a new empty object. We'll also call this Coin Manager, and then we can click Add Component and put this script on top of there. Now we can open that up and get writing. Now once again, let's start by getting rid of the start and update methods, and then we can come up top where we're going to just make a public integer called total coins, and this will be our tracker. Now we need a way to actually change the total coins. For this, we'll make a new method, and it'll be a public one as we're going to need to talk to it from the coins themselves. We'll call this change coins, but each time we collect one, we're going to take in an integer for the amount of coins. That way we can have some coins that are worth more than others. Now anytime this method gets called, we want to update the total number of coins by whatever that amount is. Now if we save that, when we go back to Unity, you should now see an empty box here with our total coins. Now let's head into the coin script once more. Now in order for the coin script to update the manager, it's going to need a reference to it. So let's make a public coin manager reference, and I'm going to call mine coin manager. Now when we go back to Unity, you'll see that it has a new box for a coin manager, and we just want to drag our manager in there. That will give our coin the ability to talk to our coin manager. Now let's head into the script and actually do that. So anytime we enter this trigger, we want to tell the coin manager that it should call its change coins method. Here I'm just going to put a 1 in there for now, making it so that this coin will be worth 1 value. If we go back to our coin manager for just a second, that just makes things so that this change coins method here will be called with a 1 passed in. That said, we don't want every coin to have to be worth 1. Let's instead come up top here and make a public integer for value. And now instead of always passing a hard-coded 1, we can pass that value. Now then, when we go back into Unity, we can click on our coin and we'll actually have the option to decide the value of every coin we put into our game. I'm going to make this first coin worth 1, but then I'll use Command D to duplicate and put another one up here and we'll make it worth 5. Now, if I click on my coin manager, we can see that when I click the first, it does in fact go up to 1, and then the next adds another 5 coins. Now that's working pretty nicely, but it's a little boring looking, so let's add a little bit of animation. Here, I'm just going to delete the extra coin, go back to that first one, drag my animation pane up here. If you don't have an animation pane, you can get one by going to Window, down to Animation, and then Animation. Now, next up, let's click on our coin and hit Create. In my Assets folder here, I'm just going to create a new folder called Animations, and we'll name this one Coin_Idle. Now we can just hit Record, and now anything we put on this timeline will appear as a frame in our animation. I'm going to use Shift-click to grab all of the coins and just drag it up there. And right now, if I were to hit play, you'll see that it's working, but it's a little out of control. So while still having them all collected, we can just click on this line at the end here and drag it out in order to slow things down a little. That's starting to look pretty good, except that there is a little hitch, and that is just that while each of these frames lasts for about 5 or so frames, you'll notice that the very last one only lasts for a single frame. So I'm just going to put another copy of it 5 frames later, and now each frame of animation will in fact last for 5 frames. With that done, I'm just going to duplicate this a handful of times, and now when we play the game, those animations will play by default. Already that's looking a whole lot more interesting. That said, while we're collecting coins and tracking them, you would never know that we're tracking them in-game, and so let's add a way to keep track of our coin total while we're playing. Now to add a text UI overlay in Unity, we're going to right-click in the hierarchy, go to UI, and add TextMeshPro. The first time you use this, you will get a TMP importer pop-up. Make sure you click both of them, as those will make sure that your text shows up and also that you have different fonts to choose from. If this doesn't show up when you first click it, it could be that it's hiding in behind your main game menu, so try moving it out of the way to just see if the importer is hiding somewhere. If you're using an older version of Unity, it could be that TextMeshPro is not pre-installed, in which case you'll have to revisit the registry. Just type in text or TMP, and you should be able to find it. That said, mine's not going to show up as it's now a standard part of the regular game. Alright, now if I double click on the text, it will center my screen on that new text, and you can see that there's this enormous rectangle here, and my actual game is way down in the bottom corner. You'll also notice that if I go to game view, you can see the text in the center of the screen. That's because this overlay represents our screen space. So if I move the object around within this rectangle, it will move within my screen. So let's just put these two screens side by side, and now I can move that text up into the top left corner. All right, that's looking pretty good, and I'm just gonna leave it this way while we're working so that we can see what's happening. At this point, we can just head over to the inspector and let's just put some text in there for now. We'll just do coin 00. And then down below, we can play around with our font size. I'll also just drag this box open so that it all fits in one line. And at this point, you can just try out some different fonts. I'll be using the Bangers font here. I think I'll make it a little larger at that point. Here you can pick the color, but then you can also come down below and just increase the thickness to give it a larger outline. You can also dilate the face if you want to make it a little bit larger. You can also play around with some shadow if you like by creating a bit of an offset and then messing around with just how dilated it is. That said, mine's not really going to show up here because I've already dilated the face so much and added such a thick outline. Here you can see that if I dial back my face a whole bunch, you do actually see that underlay. You can decide how you want yours to look like by playing around with some of these different options. Now that we've got our text on the screen, let's actually make some data appear in there. To do this, we're going to head into our coin manager, and we'll make a reference to that TMP text that we just created. Let's call it coin text. Now, if you were to pop into Unity right now, you would be getting an error. That's because we need to add a namespace using TMPPro, and that will clear that up. Now then, let's come down into our change coins method, and right after we update our total coins each time, we're just going to grab our coin text, and specifically we want to update the text, not the font or size, and let's tell it what we want it to equal. So in quotation marks, you can write whatever you want. I'm going to put coins : space, and then just a plus, and now we'll put the total coins. That said, we probably also want our text to update right at the start of the game. So let's just add back our start method, and then we'll just copy paste this exact line in there. Then we will get a refreshed coins 0 as soon as we start the game. Back in Unity, you will need to make sure that your coin manager knows where its text is. So let's just drag that in there. And for now, let's just get rid of the coins and just put something like X's so that we can see that our start method is working. When we start the game now, you'll see that it does in fact change to say coin 0, and when we collect a coin, it is updating appropriately. Alright, there's actually something to do in our game. We are almost done this simple platformer. That said, we're going to need a goal at the end, and before we get there, let's get this character animated so that he's a little more interesting as he's walking, idling, and jumping. That's where we're headed next. Hope to see you in that video. Till then, this is Matt with Nightrun Studio. Cheers.